All right, let's dive right in. Today, we are opening up a step-by-step playbook, and it's designed for one thing and one thing only, helping you get back in the driver's seat when it comes to those powerful digital urges. You know, if you've ever found yourself getting sucked into a game or an app when you were supposed to be doing something else, yeah, this is for you.
You know the feeling, right? It's more than just a passing thought. It's this physical pull, this thing that just takes over your brain and feels so urgent. It's almost like a command you can't possibly ignore.
Well, the very first thing you need to know is that you are absolutely not alone in feeling this way. It's a super common experience, but more importantly, it's a solvable one. Think of this explainer as your practical guide to winning that internal tug of war, one small step at a time.
So to actually get control, we first have to understand what we're really up against. So let's start by just breaking down the urge itself. What is this thing, and where on earth does it get all its power?
Okay, this is probably the most important thing to get. A craving. It isn't a permanent state of being. The best way to think about it is like a wave in the ocean. It builds up, it gets really intense at its peak, but here's the thing, it always passes. The goal isn't to magically stop the waves from ever forming. It's to learn how to surf, how to ride it out until it naturally fades away.
So how do you ride out that wave? What do you do in that exact moment? Well, you need an immediate defense system. Let's call it your 90-second shield. Your in-the-moment plan is just 3 simple steps. The whole goal here is just to create a little bit of space between the impulse and your action. First, the moment you feel it, just pause for 90 seconds. That's it. Just breathe and maybe rate how strong the urge is on a scale of 1 to 10. Next, commit to delaying for just 10 more minutes. Set a timer on your phone and just watch the feeling. Finally, change your physical state. Stand up, do a quick stretch, walk into another room. This little sequence is a pattern interrupt. It breaks that automatic loop and puts you back in charge.
So, okay, what do you do during that 10-minute delay? You give your brain a different, healthier little hit of dopamine. Try one of these quick swaps. You could do something physical, like 10 push-ups, or something sensory, like splashing cold water on your face. You could even try that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding technique. You just name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 you can hear, 2 you can smell, and 1 you can taste. Look, these aren't forever solutions. They're tactical moves to break the spell in the moment.
And all of this, it really comes down to one incredibly powerful mindset shift. Your brain might be screaming at you, I need to play this right now. But realizing that thought for what it is, just a suggestion, not a direct command, that's a total superpower. You can see a thought, you can acknowledge it, without having to obey it.
So those in-the-moment tactics are fantastic for emergencies, but for long-term success, you've got to build a fortress. So let's level up and talk about the strategies that are going to protect your focus day in and day out.
Okay, one of the most powerful psychological tools for this is something called an implementation intention. Now that sounds fancy, but it's actually super simple. It just means you make the decision before the craving ever shows up. Instead of trying to rely on sheer willpower in the moment, you create a pre-planned rule for yourself. If this specific trigger happens, then I will automatically do this specific action. It basically automates a better choice for you.
And here's what that looks like in the real world. The secret sauce here is being really, really specific. Your rule isn't just, if I feel bored. No, it's, if it's 9 p.m. and I'm feeling bored, then I will go for a 10-minute walk. Or, if I sit down at my PC right after work, then I will open my to-do list before anything else. See? That specificity makes the better choice almost automatic, cutting the craving off before it even gets going.
Now, to make this whole strategy really stick, you have to get to the why behind the urge. A lot of the time, you're not actually craving the game itself, you're craving the need it fulfills, right? If you play for that feeling of competition and progress, maybe a structured gym program or a coding challenge could scratch that same itch. If it's social connection, try actually scheduling calls with friends. When you figure out the real underlying need, you can find a healthy replacement that actually satisfies you.
Let's be real, willpower is a finite resource. It runs out for everybody. So stop relying on it. Instead, engineer your environment. Make it just a little bit harder to do the thing you want to do less of. We call this adding friction. Uninstall the game that's most addictive. Use a site blocker. Log yourself out after every single session, so you have to type your password in again. Every tiny little barrier you put up gives your rational brain a split second longer to catch up with that impulse.
Okay, we have our emergency tactics, we have our long-term strategies. Now let's put it all together into a real, actionable 7-day plan. This is your mission, should you choose to accept it, starting today.
This whole plan is designed to build momentum. So day 1, you're just defining your goal and writing 3 of those if-then rules. That's it. Day 2, you become a detective. You figure out when your peak craving times are. Later in the week, you'll set up those blockers we talked about and tell a friend to keep you accountable. It all leads up to reviewing your progress and, this is important, celebrating the win. Every day is just one small achievable step. The goal isn't perfection, it's just consistent action.
And finally, let's talk about maybe the most important part of this whole process, what to do when you slip up, because you probably will at some point, and that is completely okay. Your mindset in that moment makes all the difference in the world.
And here it is. This is the key. If you slip up, it is not a moral failure. It's not the end of your progress. It is simply data. You have to treat it like a scientist. You just ran an experiment, and you've collected some really valuable information about what didn't work.
And this is how you analyze that data. Instead of beating yourself up, you just ask 2 simple, forward-looking questions. First, what exactly was the trigger that led to the slip? Was it a mood, a time of day, a person? And second, based on that new info, what's one little tweak I can make to my system, my if-then rule, my environment, my replacement, to make it a little bit stronger for next time?
And that brings us to the end of our playbook. The entire strategy really just boils down to taking small, intentional actions over and over. So looking at everything we've just covered, what is just one replacement activity that you're willing to try this week? That's it. That's your first step.